So on behalf of the Academy, I'm absolutely happy to greet all of you and to welcome all of you and all of us to this round table. So it seems to me that we are going to discuss today one of the most burning and up-to-date topics. And you can see it just in the title of our roundtable. So that is Straight Talk or Straight Talks, because many speakers today on our green furniture. So I'm absolutely happy to announce that this event is organized by the Russian Foreign Trade Academy and Italo-Russian Civil Society Dialogue Forum. And I appreciate the fact that lots of students from Russian Foreign Trade Academy and Italian University agreed to take part and present their ideas on this very important topic. So Ernesto Ferlenghi, co-chair of the Italo-Russian Civil Society's Dialogue Forum and executive vice president of Cooperative Russia, and I, Svetlana Mikhailova, the head of the English department of the Russian Foreign Trade Academy, will moderate today's event. So just 1 minute to inform you about the scenario or about the format of this table. Straight after my introduction speech, I will give the floor to Ernesto Ferlenghi, and he will greet our participants. Then our speakers will take in turn the floor and inform us about the ideas they're going to develop on this very topic. So here I would like to ask you to keep your time. So please follow 5 minutes time period for your presentations. And be ready to answer 1 or maybe 2 questions at the end of your topic. So I hope you don't mind it. Then at the end of this event, we will have several minutes. So if you want to say something, to make comments and ask questions, so please use this period. I'm absolutely happy to inform you that all the participants of the event will get their certificates of attendance. Now, if you don't mind, I'm absolutely sure that I would tell you that we are going to make or to keep a record of this event and to keep it for further generations because it is really very important. So let me finish here. And now, please, Ernesto, take the floor.
Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you to you, of course. Thank you to our friends and colleagues and students, everyone. So hopefully, and then thank you, of course, Russian Foreign Trade Academy to invite us to share the opportunity with all of you. So we go straight to the point. If you allow me, before I introduce yourself, very short presentation, what I prepare in order to give you a main guidance about the today event that I consider quite important. Let me know if you see the presentation on the screen, if it's okay. It's okay? Do you see something?
Yes.
Wonderful. So we go ahead. So we move forward. This is something so important because it's the common commitment we have to take. Everyone has been taken. I mean, I start that the first slide is the commitment taken by 196 parties, which means different international organizations, means countries, whatever will be the kind of legally binding document, which could be considered the real commitment first in the history of the planet taken by major part or country in the world. So 2015, don't forget this date. Everybody take that responsibility. The main object and the main aims is the net zero emission of CO2. This because simply we are going towards a necessary new steps towards the drop of the global warming in terms of temperature. This is very important. Of course, we recognize that all the world and all the economy needs energy. This is one of the starting points, but energy should be reliable, of course, should be available for all the country. But we add another thing so important that not been treated before, that has to be sustainable. So the work has to be sustainable, and the industry, the technology, the investment. So we move forward. You see the second slides? Is okay? Second one?
Not yet.
Not yet.
And Ernest, is it possible to make the screen larger? So if you press F5, so we can see just the full slide without any additional slides. Yeah, if it's possible.
Yeah. 1 second. Now I'll try to fix this problem.
Yes.
Do you see now the second slide?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So this is another important slide, because if you let's stop for a while on the first graph on the left side. Of course, traditionally, even for the market, from the Russian main producer of the natural fossil, they know quite well aware about the oil and gas production. Historically, as you know, the federal budget of the Russian Federation belong on the mainly on the 50% of the budget depends on the export of oil and gas. So if you look at what is going on on investment on the oil and gas, what we call upstream, you see the overall amount of investment done on the world level, $322 billion. Is not, of course, much higher, but is in line of what is going to happen and already happened with the renewables. So if you see the 281 is the total amount of investment done specifically in the renewable sector. What it means? That means that there is the state subsidized, under which the company is going to invest a lot of money on this sector. So you see the trend is how much impressively the growth of investment in the renewables. The 281 will be in the next 7 years will be comparable with the investment overall done in the upstream. Of course, that we have to recognize that if you don't do much investment in the upstream, what we call upstream is the oil and gas sector in the exploration production. Of course, one of the potential effects will be the sharp decrease of investment could lead to an non-compensated potential supply of different energy. So it means that the price of the oil in the next future, due to the fact that we reduce dramatically the investment in the oil sector, could lead to a potential increase of the price of oil. But anyway, if you look at the right side, the investment in the power sector, which is the main thing, the electricity that everybody wants, reliable, cheap energy, and of course sustainable now. You see that the green part is going to increase. So that means that even in the power sector, everybody will look not at the production of electricity coming from the coal, for example, but mainly they will be focalized on the production of electricity coming from gas. If we move forward, Green Deal is we already talked about that. So mainly zero emission. 2050 is the stream milestone and deadline for all one, and it require enormous, tremendous amount of investment, 1 trillion of public and private investment. That's very important. But let's look at what is going on in Europe. Denmark, for example, is one of the largest oil and gas producers in Europe. They say from 2050 we'll not going to anymore to issue any license on the oil and gas exploration. France is doing something very similar. And let's see what's happening in the renewables energy. So they drop by 75% in terms of price. So if you want to produce 1 kilowatt hour of electricity by renewables, the price that you have to investment done to produce that amount of electricity has been dropped down by 75%, because simply the technology has been improving a lot during the last 10 years, 15 years. Hydrogen is another issue. You will recognize that everybody talk about hydrogen. Nobody knows who is that, but everybody knows that we have to talk about that one, because this is the new milestone and target of the 2050 climate neutrality goal has to be reached, even adopting some specific different model of energy saving, energy approach, energy strategy. One of that is the hydrogen. If you look at that, in order to be, with the renewable hydrogen will be produced in the, in the green mode. What means that if you use the renewables, you can produce the so-called green hydrogen. Of course, as we said, in order to transport the hydrogen through the network, the gas network in Europe and the world, of course, you have to invest a lot of money. Don't forget that every time you think about innovating approach, innovating technology, we have to understand that there is, of course, tremendous, huge amount of investment to do. Sometimes the private company is not able to do that, or they cannot do alone, let me say, and we'll see a little bit later that sometimes on the new cultural revolution approach, even the funds and the finance should be one of the main components of that. Going to Russia. Russia has adopted and signed the climate agreement, the Paris Agreement. So means decree of reduce greenhouse emission by 70% by 2030, decree on strategy development for decrease of CO2 emission by 2050. And Russia is already moving in that direction, even because there is a potential threat for Russia, additional potential tax the so-called tax border adjustment. It means for the different company which import in Europe elements, natural resource, oil and gas, whatever, which has been produced not in alignment with the new regulation of the European Union, they are subject to additional potential tax impact. So we have to take into consideration that Russia has to fill the gap in terms of technology, in terms of strategy on the long-term basis. This is something that will happen for sure. Circular economy is something that is potentially under our life. I mean, every day we have to talk about the circular economy. So the waste culture, how to treat the plastic, whatever, the water, whatever, is something that is part of our common understanding and the respect of the environment, but even giving a value to what we are not using. So the new action plan announced initiative along the entire life cycle of products. So if you have, for example, one of the main sector we recognize, recycling plastic, for example, is something which give value to what you usually waste. It is something very important to do. I mean, all the company, we do also the same in ENI. We don't use any more plastic all over the world. So it's very important signal, sharing the view, sharing the new philosophy. That's very important for everybody and the new generation. Investment, as we said, if you look at what is going on, I take an example, the New York State pension fund, but if you take all the different kind of funds in the world, they're already aligned with the new approach, the new so-called ESG, which means environmental social governance approach. They want to see investment coming from the specifically green approach, green investment, green economy. And it's a value, of course, coming in the profit coming from the investment you do in that specific sector, of course. Even the so-called net zero asset managers is an initiative, a group of international asset managers committed to supporting the goal of net zero greenhouse. It's not simply a trend, this one. I mean, if you have funds, we are shareholders of different company. They come in the board, the representative in the board of director, they say, we want to see projects which are under specific strategy of decarbonization. ESG, we said, is the new culture adopted by the different financial institutions, banks, whatever, which is the trend that will never be stopped. I mean, in Norway, as you know, is one of the main oil and gas producers in the world. And so they said 1 trillion in terms of asset and portfolio. They straight announced that they will not try to finance companies which are doing business in traditional exploration and production, if not compatible with the new decarbonization strategy. This is very important from financial point of view. Look at these figures. So, I mean, ExxonMobil, wow, very big, one of the biggest in the world oil and gas company. Can you compare with the NextEra Energy, an American company which are producing renewables, electric power and energy from renewables, unknown probably for all of you, and also to me until a few weeks ago. But if you look at the capitalization, you see $181 billion for ExxonMobil, which with a huge amount of assets in terms of reserves or oil and gas, while NextEra Energy, which has producing through which has no asset apart from the modules, you see the comparable of the two different capitalization. The same if you look at, for example, let's say the electrical cars. I mean, we know NIO is a Chinese electrical car producer. They produce only 69,000 cars in the world, while the General Motors 2.9 million. Can you imagine? And this is, but the capitalization is in comparable, that the other one with the, I mean, NIO, the Chinese NIO with the General Motors, and also, you know, the famous Tesla on the right side. Of course, I try to summarize all the different listed, the different oil and gas company in the world: Repsol, BP, Total, Shell, Eni, ExxonMobil, Conoco, Bay. But really, trust me, there is no company in the world now they are saying we can ignore the new tendency, we can ignore the new commitment coming from the Paris Agreement, and we cannot even ignore how the world is changing. I mean, if you sell fuel in your filling station, you recognize that the demand coming from the green one, the new generation, the millennium one. They want to see green one. They want to see something with a minor impact on the environment is the right approach, and that's why the new investment program of the company is changing. That's all. I'm trying to be quick, to be short, in order to not to take so much for your presentation. So we go now. What we do, we try to give the floor to you. So if you're okay, Svetlana, I give the floor to the first speaker. Fabio Quacci. Fabio
Yeah.
Quacci, the ecological crisis and the urgency for a global green transition. Please, Fabio, don't look at your watch in order to respect the time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ernesto. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to thank the Russian Foreign Trade Academy and the Italo-Russian Civil Societies Dialogue for the organization of this event. On behalf also of the Movimo Italian Students Association, of whom I am the president, and I go straight with the presentation. So can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
So, yeah, as you can see, I'm a PhD student and lecturer at both Mugimu University and the University of Macerata. So I organized the presentation in three main directions. And I researched basically about the global environmental justice, which is like a part of political science. But here I would like to focus on the scientific evidence, which are the basis of the environmental crisis. So to let you understand what is the gravity of this problem, of this issue which affect everyone. And the second point is the focus on the global nature of this issue. So since it does not affect only one country or another, but it affects the world, the earth as a whole. And the third one is the implication of these scientific evidences on our lives. You can just imagine that the last generation populating the world consume the same amount of ecological assets as the previous 10,000 of generations. So this is just a figure of the problem. And I'll drive the presentation through some figures to catch your attention, and I know that there are many students from the English class, so I'll add some English idiomatic expressions to drive the meaning of the presentation. So here you can take a look of the main index to show our impact on the environment, which is the ecological footprint index. Basically, I'll make it really simple, and I hope there are no scientists in our listening, but the ecological footprint is the nature we use. The biocapacity of the earth is the ecological assets the earth can produce. So here in the figure, you can see the ecological wealth of the nations. What does it mean? It is a comparison between the use of nature by the humanity of the country and the biocapacity of the country. And here I use this picture just to show how it's misleading to look at the problem from the national point of view. I mean, at least scientifically speaking, because for example, Australia is undergoing an ecological reserve, so it does not have an ecological deficit, because the biocapacity of the country of Australia is really high. But if you see, actually Australia is far from us, so we can speak about the country, is the most populating country all over the world, because it has a really high ecological footprint. So the right approach toward the environment is this one. So the look at our conception of the ecological assets, so the human impact on the environment and the biocapacity of the world. We start to get into depth with the world in 1970. You can look at the date, and then the date has been anticipating over the time. So it means that the problem worsened in this period. And here you can see at the bottom that the last year we saw like a small improvement due to the coronavirus. So that's why I'm saying that every cloud has a simple lining. It means that we have this problematic issue, the coronavirus, but actually we can see some, I don't want to say positive exit, but some are not like the problem from another side. So from the one hand, it shows that there are challenges like a virus that affect the whole world, regardless nationalities or cultures. And on the other hand, it also improved our impact on the environment, because we consume less. So here you can think about it as like our ecological account, ecological budget. So since December, the red part, you can think about it as your own budget, but the budget of the humanity. So we started to have to take more ecological assets than the Earth is able to produce. So our bank account went red, and then it started to become worse year by year till like the last year, the 2020, which improves a little bit because, of course, we consume less, as I told before, due to the coronavirus. So I hope I am in time. The last thing. So what to do basically is to understand the problematic issue of our impact on the environment and all the problems related. You can think about just the fact that there was a survey from the Lancet Commission on Pollution at Earth showing that the smog and pollution produce 5 kills more than worse. So kills 5 times more than worse. And of course, the sea level, the reduction in crop, all these problematic are related on our impact on the environment. And that's the awareness we should have in order to boost the technological, the green transition. And as you can see, it's important, the individual awareness, but we should aware about it as a collective humanity. So to tackle it from like the whole world. And in order to do that, we should boost, as Ernesto was underlined before, our technology. Well, a lot of it. There was a project to just cover the Sahara Desert with like a solar panel. And they said that, it is enforceable, it is possible, it is feasible, and it would just match half of the global demand of power. So you can, and like with this, we have many other examples. But above all, for business, because actually business, better than me, that is faster sometimes than the politics, which I need more time. And these other idiomatic expression, like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, means that we can earning wealth, so increase our budget. Because, for example, there was a comparative analysis of the Green Investing Forum showing that investment in green investment produce financial return in 10 years almost of 2.3 times. And comparing to the public equity, it was actually an Italian example, but it can produce a financial return between 3 and 10 times more than the other investment in public equity. So actually, if you invest in it, you can have a huge financial return, and it has even like a huge impact on the environment and on our life. So that's all. And here you can start, like, if you are curious to know what is your impact on the environment, you can go to this link and analyze like how many planets do we need if everyone lives like you. Don't be scared, because for example, mine was April, so it's I mean, everyone according to our standard of living, like, we pollute a lot, so it's you can try it.
Thank you. Thank you, Fabio. One question from my side. Yeah, you mentioned the importance of the difficulty created by the global economic crisis created by the pandemic issue. Can you tell us which are, in your view, the main supporting measure adopted by the public institution, the government, towards that foster the green transition in the world?
Yeah, actually, in the world, it would be surprising that recently China was one of the leading countries, which actually has been able to undertake a leadership role in the world. There is a long debate about like how China is reshaping the world order, but I find that they are really smart to get like what are the frontier, like the next challenge. So there was this way of saying, to summarize it, that Xi Jinping was thinking about making China great again, green again, to summarize, and there is a huge investment. Here there is even a debate about like how fast can be the implementation of country like China, which has like a strong power to implement, and even a huge country like, you can just imagine, China is has the same population of US, Europe, and Russia together. So in the front line, there is even Europe recently, which is due to actually the coronavirus, because the what we call recovery fund, and I find it a little bit sadly, because actually the program is next generation, but we find it hard to speak about more about next generation than recovery. But that's a plan for Italy. The big piece of the meal, let's say, is 200 billion of euro, if I'm not mistaken. And the biggest piece of this investment, the headings, we should use it for green investment, and this is 75 billion. So, and that's the biggest investment for like of the plan. So, I mean, here even there is another talk about democracy and the other stuff, but I mean, if we think about the implementation, we are doing right now better than before, even thanks to the coronavirus. And I hear there is a report from Valdai Club actually that even Russia is a little bit behind, but is recovering pretty fast, even due to implementation of green economy, green economy, green ecology, green technology.
Okay.
Who are the more virtuous country in the world in your view? So now, I mean, Europe, we have America. Do you know? Did the United States is part of the Paris Agreement or not?
Was not anymore. Actually, it's I mean, they have a little bit schizophrenic attitude due to, I mean, the elections, because before, like, Trump withdrew the Paris Agreement, and it was like a really it was one of the milestones of his policy to withdraw the Paris Agreement, and then they came again with the Biden presidency. Biden said, I will sign, I mean, the first step, I mean, the first act of my presidency will be to sign again the Paris Agreement. I mean, here still the problematic is that, of course, it's more reliable countries like China, which is like a clear plan and long-standing plan to shift to green transition, or another country that before sign, then withdraw, and then sign again. So even, I mean, I'm not going to the democratic debate, but I mean, we hope that they will keep this line and they will stay in the Paris Agreement. The problem, even just the last thing, another issue of those agreements, like before the protocol, before the Paris Agreement has this problem. The Paris Agreement is better on this understand, is that you cannot implement the decision through coercion. So that's matter or just say moral suasion. So country agree, but there is, I mean,
we understand, Fabio, but no, it's okay. Okay, be also very analytical, be very, very precise, try also to be very, I mean, because words is something that the cost of the words is nothing, but if you try to summarize also your thought through a specific analytical data, that's very helpful. So thank you very much, Fabio. Floor to Svetlana to introduce the second one. So thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And now I'm absolutely happy to introduce Nikita Stepanov. So he will talk about the environmental situation now in Russia. Well, so just a few words about yourself, Nikita, and then please take your time, okay? Not longer than 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
My name is Nikita. I'm a student of the RFTA. I'm in my first year. And now let's talk about the ecological problems in Russia and the reasons for them. So many of the ecological issues in Russia have been attributed to policies during the early Soviet Union, a time when many officials felt that the pollution control was an unnecessary hindrance to economic development and industrialization. Industrialization of Russia started in the USSR in 1929 and proceeded at a rapid pace between two world wars. Within 15 years, an economically backward agrarian country achieved rapid economic growth, created a more modern industrial sector, and acquired new technologies that changed it from an agrarian to an industrial country. After the World War II, the Soviet Union resumed unsustainable development. However, rapid industrialization disturbed the ecological balance, and even though numerous attempts were made by the Soviet government to recover the situation in the 70s and the 80s, the problem wasn't solved completely. By the 1990s, about 40% of Russia's territory began demonstrating symptoms of significant ecological stress, largely due to a diverse number of environmental issues, including deforestation, energy responsibility, pollution, and nuclear waste disposal. So nuclear contamination is one of the major environmental concerns in the country. Many of Russia's first generators, nuclear reactors, are at the end of their lifespan. Therefore, continued operation of these reactors only increases the already present risks for disaster at these locations. Furthermore, Russia will be piling up imported nuclear waste. Annually, about 2,000 tons of radioactive waste from Western Europe and Asia are sent to facilities at Mayak and Krasnoyarsk in Siberia for storage and reprocessing. So here we come to another problem, is poor waste management. Russia is struggling with the storage and handling of 30 billion metric tons of waste, with the problem most severe in at least 10 regions. The existing landfills are under pressure far beyond their capacity limits. Moreover, many of Russia's landfills are outdated, which leads to a number of challenges for the local population and the environment, such as bad smells, pollution of groundwater, and even a release of toxic gases. Another pressing issue is deforestation, because Russia has a lot of forests. According to the WWF, the rates of illegal logging in northwest Russia and its countries far east are at extremely high levels. Heavy logging leads to high levels of erosion and greater carbon dioxide levels. Additionally, the WWF noted that illegal logging negatively impacts numerous species in the boreal forests. According to the Center of Russian Environmental Policy, Russia loses approximately 16 million hectares of forest each year. Despite these growing deforestation rates, the Russia government has not made any apparent efforts to implement robust forest policies, nor implement any conservation or reforestation projects that could potentially protect the vast forests of this country. Significant neglect during the Soviet Union era also led to degradation in the quality of Russian land and water, and no recovery measures have been implemented in the past few decades. Despite being a country that is rich in water supplies with about 2 million lakes, 200,000 rivers, and approximately 25% of the Earth's total freshwater reserves, Russia continues to face difficulties in maintaining the cleanliness in its water supplies. For example, Lake Baikal is threatened by runoff and pollution from both a cellulose production plant on one of Baikal's major tributaries and a coal-fired power plant on another. Air pollution is another pressing issue, and pollution of the air is extremely high, not only in several major Russian cities, for example, Moscow and St. Petersburg, but also in some smaller cities where industrial facilities are under even less security for environmental compliance. Russia's air quality standards remain below US and European norms. As a result of unsustainable development, Russia is currently warming twice as fast as the rest of the world, according to Russia's Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. As global warming melts, the world's permafrost over the course of this century, up to 2/3 of Russia's landmass may become swampland. Furthermore, devastating in infrastructure and livelihoods. The rise in sweltering temperatures has already contributed to an increase in forest fires and smoke that caused approximately 11,000 deaths in only 44 days during the summer of 2010. That's it.
So Nikita, thank you very much. And I've got only one question to you. Well, so you mentioned so many problems Russia is facing at the moment. Well, in your opinion, do we have a chance to recover? Do we have a chance to have clean rivers, fresh air, well, and as soon as possible?
In my opinion, of course, we do have a chance to recover, because, for example, the previous year, Moscow city authorities announced a plan to introduce recycling bins in courtyards across the city by the end of 2020, but because of coronavirus, it can be delayed to 2021. And now more people are aware about the ecological problems, not only in Russia, but also in the whole world. and
Yeah.
people start
You have talked about Russia, and so my question deals with it. Okay, thank you for your very positive attitude to the problem. And now we are ready to give the floor to our Italian colleagues, right, Ernesto?
Yeah, right, Svetlana, thank you. Rodolfo Maria Salvi, I see he's there already. Floor to you, a very precise 5 minutes for you. Illustrate the best of your understanding on this issue.
Good afternoon, everybody. Energy is one of the main state pillars. Therefore, any time that there is an energy transition, like in history occur, it will shake the geopolitical landscape. I would like to look at 3 theoretical models of energy transition to better understand which can be the geopolitical consequence. First of all, we may imagine a liberal free trade energy transition. This will be market-based and led mainly by consumer preference and state subsidies. It will be slow to reach a global full renewable mix because the fossil fuel will play a significant role thanks to competitive price. In the geopolitical shape, this means an increase in the economic relevance of China, which is already in control of 60% of solar panel supply chain, and will just grow thanks to its capacity of investment, technology, and cheap labor force. It will be the rise of a new electric state, so regional electric producer or hydrogen suppliers, such as Chile and Australia, for example. The reduction in oil demand will kick out expensive producers, such as American shale oil producer, increasing the power of Gulf states, which is also rich in energy and solar energy, and they are really investing strong amount of money in a hydrogen project to supply Europe, Japan, and China. Russia, in this case, can bet with the civil nuclear power thanks to Rosatom. At the same time, it can convert partially gas pipeline to hydrogen and green gases. EU and America will be mostly affected by the cost of this transition because even if there will be a reduction in energy dependence, thanks to new renewable production at home, there will be a new risk to lose total control of green device value chain. In a second theoretical model, we can think about a full cooperative energy transition. This will be led by top-down government and international agreement, such as the Paris Agreement, and it will be made with a central role for electrification. The geopolitical will be shaped with a Russian open country mostly affected because they will have less time to adapt and reconvert their production, losing geopolitical power. In this case, India and China will gain economic power in the geopolitical arena, while there will be new risk for electric grid security and cyber attacks. New electric states will be possible even in an underdeveloped country, thanks to more cooperative approach, but this country should be well located, such as Chile and African country. The last theoretical model is a multipolar regionalized transitional model. In this case, energy transition occurs different by region and thanks to so-called green islands with emission standards. There is a better control inside the regional border of the producing the green devices and the allocation and cost and benefit. Geopolitically, this means an exclusion of underdeveloped or bad located country. It can lead to a rise in a new green protectionism to protect transitional costs inside this region and reduce the high emission goods import from a polluting country. This led to a rising and developing of global tension, migration, and inequality around the world. Moreover, Europeans can best get advantage because it's strong in a regional alliance, but is also at risk of migration and tension if it doesn't involve a North African country. Russia can play a good role, balance between East and West, and trying to keep a good alliance with China and Europe, supplying green gases to both players. In conclusion, it's not easy to see how geopolitics and how the new energy transition will shape each other. But a national security leader must anticipate new geopolitical scenario and must collaborate not only with country, but also with company to shape this transition at their best advantage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rodolfo Maria. I have one question for you. You illustrated 3 different models that, in your view, can have the relevant cost and impact on the transition, energy transition. Can you tell me your point of view on how and through which specific measure can a different country influence the global green transition? From economic point of view, I mean, fiscal, which measure in your view are the more effective for industry?
So I think that it's really dependent, for example, in which will be the Biden presidency, because like re-entry in the global agreement, but it say that we will want to have American leadership of a new cooperative agreement. So the point is, if we are going to a general global transition with a developed international agreement, company will be part integrate of this new agreement because they are the economic entity able to shape benefits and cost. So theoretically, we can expect that a part of the supply chain to produce a new green emission device will be allocated in different parts of the world, Europe, America, and Asia. While if you are thinking a multipolar situation, this will keep the transition inside this region. And for example, Europe can lead better, but at the same time, it needs alliance. And so America can decide to ally with Europe. Otherwise, to not create geopolitical transition, geopolitical threat and tension, there can be an integrated alliance between Europe and China. The role of the company, it will be really central because it's the company who develop in the last moment the technology and the innovation to lead the transition. But the possibility to create international networks will depend on geopolitical agreement.
Yeah, very clear. Thank you very much, Rodolfo Maria. Thank you. Svetlana, probably I keep the word because we have introduced our colleagues, Elena Liach. Hopefully I speak, I spell correctly. Olena, for you, the floor to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet you all. I will try to upload some visual aid, a presentation, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so today I'll be briefly discussing on the implications of going green from a company's perspective, which is important because firms are actually quite a serious trigger for environmental damage and certain work-related social issues. What they can do to take accountability and avoid compromising their image and reputation is to implement various practices that go under the umbrella term of green management. This is an organizational-wide process that integrates the shareholder interests, not only with environmental sustainability and waste reduction, but also with social responsibility. So this happens by embracing the triple bottom line pillars of profit, planet, and people, as you can see, into a company's innovation cycle, organizational culture, and strategic planning. Green management allows, therefore, to achieve a competitive advantage of a new kind, one that depends on the quality of life of a wider range of stakeholders, not only shareholders, while nurturing a continuous process of learning and development. This practice is also known as corporate sustainability and responsibility. which is a term you might have heard more often. So to demonstrate progress, organizations should also measure their performance. However, environmental and especially social indicators are more subjective than profitability. So what is recommended for these metrics is to adopt the same accounting and controlling principles as for the accounting systems, which are more rigorous and precise. Here I'm going to show you an overview of the major green management tools over each of the triple bottom line pillars. Under the economic pillar, we find pure controlling tools like the traditional cost accounting or the balanced scorecard. And these are mainly used by companies that do not have a sustainability department yet, do not have a sustainability system implemented yet, for example. So in such cases, what a firm would do is to include a couple of environmental metrics or sustainability indicators within the already existing internal reportings. The social tools are mainly used for making companies accountable towards the community and their workers' health and safety. So in this case, social accounting, social auditing, and social return on investment are typical tools that stem from the integration between social and economic pillars. Environmental and general sustainability tools are nowadays probably the most used for green management, but also they're the most expensive and the results are not obtainable in the short term, unlike for social metrics, for example, where you can deploy questionnaires to the workers and that's immediately evaluatable. But both the environmental and sustainability systems can be used in continuous management flows, as you can see, for planning, then performance measurement, and finally reporting. Environmental and sustainability management accounting are typical integrated tools in this case, and they would also feature some specific controlling systems to link planning and operational activities. Obviously, not all companies engage with green management in the same way. So there are at least 5 stages of commitment. As you can see by the highlighted letters, this is ROAST scale developed by Dodge and Welford. So the lowest boundary represents a firm that only cares about safeguarding profit for its shareholders and has no green projects in place whatsoever. In the next phase, the firm does exactly the minimum to avoid any fines for not complying with law. Next, we have a firm that goes beyond mere legal compliance and voluntarily provides certain green products or services, but because it is because the customers ask them or require them. Then when a firm takes the stakeholder approach, it becomes extremely attentive to the stakeholder needs, all stakeholder needs, and begins setting a sustainability agenda of their own with the initiatives that are original. And finally, the upper boundary represents probably a goal that is hardly achievable. It is one of a company that has sustainability deeply ingrained into its values, its core culture. It takes decisions only after having carefully considered all related socio-environmental impacts. And as a side note, certainly size plays a major role in determining how committed a company can be to CSR, to corporate sustainability. Larger companies, of course, can more easily reach the upper stages if compared to smaller enterprises. However, small and medium enterprises, if aggregated into groups and networks, would be able to share resources, becoming potentially even better at investing in green management, but only once they overcome the challenge of coordinating all member firms.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Olena. I really appreciate the presentation. Very clear, very efficient. One question, very short. If you were, let's say, CEO of a company, a big one, let's say, a huge one, what will you tell to your employees in order to convince them to adopt any specific rules, specific different approach in line with the new trends, the new green trends, also considering what you mentioned, the customer satisfaction expectation? What do you tell them? Why you have
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Okay, so actually there is a whole branch of green management called Green Management Human Resource Management that deals with several processes, like, for example, green recruitment, green training development, green management performance, and green compensation. So, for example, the first step, attracting talents, would be done through green recruitment by posting green job descriptions. And green recruitment is actually quite a strategic tool because it allows companies to attract highly passionate individuals that already have some basic knowledge in sustainability and energy preservation, etc. But for what concerns training, training is also fundamental because it helps workers become more aware of issues that they might not be aware of, and it gives them a possibility, a chance to test their skills in environmental problem solving. Also, green performance management is important because in this case, the performance appraisal rating system would have linked environmental stewardship and environmental actions from the workers' side to the strategic results of the entire organization. And finally, the green compensation, incentives, and rewards are probably the most efficient method that can motivate employees to to put some green ideas to the table and carry out eco-friendly initiatives on their own.
Yeah, Olena, very, very, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Thank
you. So really, we enjoyed the presentation. Thank you very much. Very
really
interesting.
grateful.
Thank you. Svetlana, please.
Yeah. Well, so and now Maria Tkachenko is going to speak about coronavirus, right, and green economy. Yeah, welcome.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm a fourth year foreign trade management student, and today my speech will take about 5 minutes of your time. It won't be as informative as the previous presentations, which were very brilliant. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer them at the end of my presentation. So, as you all know, the pandemic has evolved from just a major public health crisis to become also an economic and job crisis as well. And the scale of this problem is still unfolding. So the economic impact is enormous, as we are facing the most severe recession in nearly a century. And the pandemic is also closely connected with some global environmental issues, such as climate change and water pollution and waste management. The short-term environmental problems which caused by the pandemic are both positive and unfortunately negative. However, all of them are significant. For example, global CO2 emission has decreased by 8% to the level of 10 years ago, which is great. However, the problem is that the levels of CO2 in the atmosphere are continue to climb rapidly. So in order to slow down this process, we need to take immediate actions in order to stabilize this level of CO2 emissions to pre-pandemic levels. Also, if we talk about air pollution, it has also increased temporarily due to shutdowns in ground transport, air travel, and industry activities. And the same thing here, in order to continue these levels, we need to take some actions. And if we talk about waste management challenges, so they have increased significantly as the result of the pandemic, as governments deal with a major increase in medical waste from masks and so on, and increased demand for single-use plastics for food delivery, healthcare, and e-commerce packages. So the use of, as I said, disposable masks has skyrocketed. So this created significant waste management problems and environmental challenges. So in recent months, you may have heard about this green recovery plan. As we begin to imagine our lives, hopefully, beyond coronavirus, the governments of all countries are starting to set up major plans to rebuild the economy and the country itself. And a green economy is a way to do it successfully, I suppose, and take into consideration all of the things that I have mentioned above. A green economy prioritizes the health of people and the health of our planet, as we all know. And the green economy sees those things interconnected. So it would mean massive investments, as we have already mentioned in previous presentations, and these investments will be in renewables, housing, transport, and rolling out training programs to teach people how to work in those new areas of work. This major investment, however, will also create hundreds of thousands of jobs and at the same time improve the public health and well-being of us, I would say so. And many governments have been creating those plans. One example of which we have already mentioned is the European Green Deal, which was proposed at the end of 2018. And the Green Deal, it is the heart of this European Union strategy and to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. And actually in May, the European Commission announced the budget of more than 750 billion euros in order to fight back all those problems. However, unfortunately, the balance between the green and non-green spending is very different, and it is in favor of non-green organizations. For example, the International Institute of Sustainable Development estimates that G20 countries spend about 47% of their stimulus directed to support fossil fuels and only 39% to clean energy. It is clear that green recovery measures will also need to address a top priority of issue of jobs, and the various green sectors and activities offer significant prospects for those job creations. And as the statistics of the International Renewable Energy Agency, they actually estimate that about 80 million, can you imagine 80 million people will be employed by creating all of those new type of jobs, which will help us to create this green economy. So to sum up all that I have said, this current crisis presents governments with challenges in ensuring that the recovery and stimulus measures will enhance and not adversely affect our environmental situation. And I think that the governments need to make sure that that they put people and the planet first and put us on the green, smart economy. So thank you for attention. And if you have questions, I will be glad to answer them.
Masha, I've got only one question to you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting facts, very interesting information. Well, and you did absolutely correctly finishing positively, right?
Thank you.
But so you mentioned the future activities. Well, so can you give any examples of any recovery measures which were created by countries or governments? Well, so we have got the results of the activities now. Well, are there any?
Well, the governments are actually just implementing those things, so the results. So we won't be able to see results in the nearest future, unfortunately. But if we talk about the companies, I can say that, for example, in if I'm not mistaken, in September this year, Airbus, as you all know, this aeronautics company, they revealed their concept of zero emission aircraft. However, it is only a concept, but they are on the right track. So I hope in the nearest future we will be able to travel safe and with zero waste.
Yeah, okay. Let's hope for the best and quite in the near future. Thank you, Masha. So another time, and now we are giving the floor to our next speaker, that is going to be Mark Bratchikov. You're also going to develop a very interesting topic, which deals with green economy and possible economic benefits, right?
Great. You can hear me?
Absolutely.
Splendid. So, not going to take a lot of your time. To start, let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Bratchikov. I'm on my first year of study in Russia Foreign Trade Academy. I study international finances, and I'd like to give a speech about Russian green economy. Let's get started. Natural resources are a significant source of income for Russia and critical to its economic development. As such, Russia's medium to long-term growth prospects will depend greatly on how well its policies integrate environmental and natural resource management into economic planning. Greening Russia's economy will mean clean and resilient growth and sustainable use of natural resources, thus extending the economic benefits to the poorest and most vulnerable citizens. Furthermore, green investments are generally more employment-intensive and have direct benefits in terms of poverty reduction. Improving resource efficiency could lead to economy-wide benefits and bring about savings for capital expenditures, while improvements in energy efficiency could reduce carbon emissions and create opportunities for the Russian economy to increase productivity and competitiveness. For Russia, it is especially important to intensify efforts to green its economy in order to ensure economic sustainability, and to green its financial system with a view to mobilizing resources towards green investments and better managing risks. Russia would benefit from this for sure. And I'd also like to give some plans about what problems we have now in Russia. So pollution and hotspots. There are more than 10,000 potentially toxic sites in Russia, 340 sites characterized as hotspots for their accumulated environmental damage, pose significant human health risks to 17 million people. 370 million tons of polluted substances cover a territory of 77 hectares. DDT was banned in the 70s, but many lands still have these substances. Air quality. Emissions from road transport in big cities comprise to 50 to 90% of total air polluted loads, 87% of total GHG. Emissions are generated from extraction, production, processing, and transportation of mineral resources. And forests. Annual forest loss is estimated at 370,000 to 760,000 hectares. In 2014, the total forest loss was estimated at 513,000 hectares. And now, as for me, the most hilarious part, institutional. Environmental norms and standards are outdated and not based on assessment of risk and impacts. The country's entire team, entire team of forest inspectors numbers just 1,422 people. For example, Siberia. In Kamchatsky Krai, one forest inspector is responsible for a total area of 300,000 hectares. It's hilarious. I mean, we need to do something about this. And in the end, the key to increasing economic well-being in the future lies in building national wealth. This requires savings to finance investments and that generate growth, as well as good institutions and governance to make productive use of assets and knowing how to make the most efficient use of these assets. After a sharp decline in the mid-90s, the value of the wealth per capita in Russia has been positive since 2000, so we have a great deal to do. So I think that's the end of my speech, as I told you, and I highly appreciate your attendance in my speech. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, I cannot hear you. Your microphone was off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Now I've got one question, Mark, to you, and it deals with finance. How do you think, well, can green finance markets influence the environment in Russia? So, and in what areas, if we speak about economies, people should be interested in investing?
Okay, great question. I was waiting for it. It is estimated that greening of the Russian economy will require investments in order of, I think, 3 to 4 trillion Russian rubles by 2021. And this scale requires mobilizing financial resources. Furthermore, financial regulators around the world are increasingly assessing the potential impact of climate change and low-carbon transition on financial stability. The transition to a low-carbon economy, I think, may not be a smooth one, but could involve a potential rapid fall in value of carbon-intensive assets. Mitigation strategy could include green assets as hedge against carbon transition risks in a portfolio that includes emission-intensive assets. For example, similarly, green bonds and other standardized products could offer attractive risk-adjusted financial returns without time-consuming due diligence on the project's greenest by investors. And you also asked me about the spheres. I think all the spheres, especially in Russia, need to be how to say the money needs to be put in them. Especially speak about our natural resources, because as I said before, our economy highly depends on it. So air quality, forests, and other more needs to be financed. Yeah, I think I tried to answer a question. Oh. Is something wrong?
Probably Svetlana doesn't hear.
Yeah, the internet went bad.
She disappeared, but probably she's coming back. I think we can go on. The next one, if I'm right, is Sofia Priporova. Probably you can start. Anyway, I think Svetlana will come back soon.
Yes, dear colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Sofia, and I am a second-year student of the Faculty of Foreign Trade Management. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
So today I would like to speak about very important issue, environmental protection. We already know about it and discuss it very often, and not only speak. People do their best to solve the problem with pollution, and now I will tell you about all-Russian organization named Green Patrol, which united caring people. Here you can see the organization's achievements in 2019, and their main tasks are participation in projects to protect nature in Russia, implementation of projects, encouraging people to solve the problem with pollution, and fostering a positive attitude to nature among children and young people, and developing international cooperation to solve the problem. The organization also takes care of nutrition. In 2017, Green Patrol launched the project Green Certificate. To get this certificate, product must pass quality examination, and this certificate can be obtained not only by products but also by enterprises, such as, for example, the chemical industry enterprise in Tambov. Green Patrol is open for interaction with citizens. They have accounts in popular social networks through which everyone can contact them and tell them about the problem in their cities. There are many rivers in my town, but they are polluted. So Green Patrol helped clean up the Malinovka river and brought the perpetration to justice. My friends personally contacted this organization. There is a small park near their house, but people always leave their garbage after walking there. and there is so many garbage that the janitors can't clean it up. And my friends soon received an answer, and they were invited as volunteers, and together with other people returned to the park its former attractive appearance. Each of us can take care of the environment, and professional people can help us. The main thing is not to remain indifferent to nature and not to be silent if you notice any violations. Thank you for your attention. Do you have any questions?
Yes. So I've got one. You mentioned a very interesting document which started being issued, right? So that is the certificate, right, which the company or some companies can obtain. But can you say what kind of benefits can this company get when they receive this certificate, this kind of certificate?
Thank you for your question. So firstly, the company proves that they are of social responsibility and that their product is of high quality. And secondly, the company can become more competitive on the market, that they can attract more customers.
Yes, that's right. So they have got some profit from that. Yes.
Yes.
Not only proving eco, but yes, Ernesto. So it seems to me that now your student is coming, right?
Yes, I think Fabio Cardoso, right? Is your time?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to share my screen. Just a second. Okay, so let's go. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm presenting an ongoing research project with practical applications. It's entitled Sustainable Practice as a Booster of the Performance of Russian Companies. I integrate a research team composed of the three other members, Dominique, Fabio, and Anton. All of us are PhD candidates, and we study sustainability as a drive to performance improvement in companies and countries. Sustainability is profitable. What looks like a duty can be turned into a business opportunity. Green market and conscious consumers bring profits for the companies. The key factor is the interaction between environment, society, economic system, government, and the researchers. To achieve sustainable development, it's necessary to extend and integrate knowledge in a so-called quintuple helix framework. Therefore, engaging different stakeholders, academia, through research projects, industry, through new sustainable production models, government, introducing new industrial policies focused on sustainability, civil society, building awareness, and finally, it becomes crucial to consider the environment as one of the stakeholders with whom collaborate. In the Russian retail sector, there are three examples of sustainability. 5X Holding is the best example of sustainable practice in the Russian retail. It has a broad portfolio of sustainable practices and updates it yearly. Magnet, the oldest supermarket chain in Russia, also has a report of sustainable practices, but it's related just to 2014 in an outdated version. The third example, Croissant and Bowl, sorry for the Russians if my pronunciation is not so good, does not mention sustainable practices on the internet. Based on digital search, it's possible to infer that sustainable practices are not well established in the Russian retail sector. But how is the scenario in other BRICS country members? Well, talking about Brazil. In a country with a hard social challenges, diversified culture, distinct geographic zones, and strong economic contrasts, sustainability really works. The Brazil retail chain Pão de Açúcar Group, GPA, is a case of success. Founded 72 years ago, GPA developed sustainable practices in distinct location and social levels, achieving significant results. The Brazilian faces a program which brings local brands to the products of the supermarket portfolio, represents a good opportunity for small producers. For example, a local brand in Amazonia rainforest can sell its products in a whole country using the GPA supply chain. Additionally, regarding poverty and vulnerable young people, GPA supports a musical program where teenagers from slums receive classical musical education and play in the GPA orchestra. High-income customers recognize this as a reason to buy in GPA stores. In 2020, with the pandemic, the GPA started a podcast on Spotify, Listen Place, to explain how the customers can adopt sustainable practices in his or her life. Academia açaí. Açaí, I don't know if everybody knows, but it's a typical Brazilian fruit from Amazon. Academia açaí is a program where local entrepreneurs receive strong support in their business launching phase to show their products, and they at the same time they receive financial education, marketing clues, and other points to support them. Finally, we would like to share and propose some ideas for companies in Russia, specifically in the retail, to improve their sustainability and also the competitivity. First of all, rainwater harvest reduce the expense to the maintenance of the stores. As mentioned before, partnership with local brands, in case of Brazil, and also, why not in Russia, can improve the supply chain management, reduce stock out risk, and dynamize local economies. The charity gift card can bring customers to sustainable practices. In this case, the retail sector would bring the customers to their policy. When the customer buy one bottle of wine, he or she could buy a stamp and offer this as charity for one specific social project. Annual sustainable report based on monetary investment. Yes, this is a very common practice in Brazil. All companies publish the financial report, the yearly financial report, and also the year sustainable report. And at last but not least, why not to consider for nationwide in the whole Russian Federation a sectorial index to position each player in a scale of sustainability from the less sustainable until the most sustainable company, adapted for other sectors, obviously. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like to receive feedbacks and questions.
Thank you, Fabio. Thank you very much for your comprehensive presentation. One question from my side, which are, in your view, the main benefit for the business? Let's talk for a while for the Russian business. You explain one example of the X5 and the Magnet, or the third one, Branco and Vermelho, in adopting the sustainable practice. And then I want to apologize at the end of the answer. I have to apologize, but I will leave because I have another commitment. But please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Fabio.
Okay.
Thank you, Nesta.
Thank you, Fabio. Go ahead.
Yes. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, sure. The main benefit for the business in adopting a sustainable practice. So you saw
certainly, yes. This is not only the companies won't have to face the sustainable practice as a cost, but as an investment in innovation. And with this innovation, they can they can make improvement in their profits, because the new customers will start to buy with them, to promote the brand. So this is.
Thank you very much, Fabio. Thank you to all of you. Sorry, I apologize again to have to go, but thank you, Svetlana. Thank you all of you for your time. Thank you, Irina. Thank you. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Well, and now we are going further. We have got two more speakers. So first of all, Ekaterina Rakovitsa will tell us about big companies and their benefits, what they do to make our ecology and environment really green. Yes, Katya, welcome.
Okay. Good afternoon. Nice to see all of you today here. Thanks to organizers of this meeting. I will try to upload my presentation now. Okay. Don't you see it?
I can't see anything, unfortunately.
If you have some problems, I can help.
Yes, help me please, because I don't know why.
So can you see it right now? Okay,
fine.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Ekaterina Rakovitsa. I'm the second year foreign trade management student. And today I'd like to speak about the contribution of various world-famous companies to the green economy, because I know for sure that lots of them are doing their best to reduce harmful environmental impact caused by their manufacturing. And it's important for us, their consumers, who think about our planet. Next slide, please. I will talk about Ikea and Uniqlo, two very popular companies in many countries all over the world, and show that they are becoming socially responsible. Let's see what they do for our planet. Well, I'm absolutely sure that all of you know such company as Ikea, that designs and sells ready-to-assemble furniture, kitchen appliances, and home accessories. They provide their customers with the remove and recycle service. They've partnered with a number of charities who try to give old furniture a new life, with local families in need of some support. The service is very convenient for the customers and does not take a lot of effort. If you buy new kitchen appliances or white goods, beds, mattresses, etc. from Ikea and have them delivered to you, you can also return your old appliances. The new for old principle applies here. This means that when a new appliance is delivered, you can return the same type of appliance without extra costs involved. If the furniture is not reusable, it will be disassembled and recycled with the lowest environmental impact. So speaking about this company, I wanted to show that they do care a lot about our Earth. And now let's consider another company, Uniqlo, a Japanese casual wear manufacturer. Uniqlo has adopted a sustainability mission statement, unlocking the power of clothing. They collect second-hand Uniqlo clothes in special boxes placed in each store, and then sort donations into clothes that can be reused and clothes that can be used for another purpose through recycling. Uniqlo deliver clothes to people in need worldwide in the form of emergency clothing aid for refugee camps and disaster areas, together with the United Nations Refugee Agency. Clothing that cannot be reused is recycled as alternative fuel to reduce CO2 emissions and sent to factories in Japan. Down and feathers are used as raw materials and regenerated into new clothing items. So the trend of using recycled or reused materials among different companies is growing year after year, and Ikea and Uniqlo are just two examples of it. I think it's great that such multiples make it available for every person to find a collection point in a store in your city and support the green economy. Because it is very important that not only individuals, but also big businesses make all efforts to take care of the environment. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be glad to answer.
Katyush, so as usual, I've got only one question for you. You spoke about very famous worldwide companies. So you mentioned Ikea and Uniqlo, Japanese and European. What about Russian companies? Are we in this very trend? Are we following the trend? Are there any examples?
This trend in Russia is less popular than in Europe, for example, but Russian companies also develop gradually more eco-friendly manufacturing and carry out different campaigns providing their customers with recycling services. For example, in famous Russian supermarkets, you can return some batteries and, for example, old toothbrushes.
So I know that Vkusville has got now these special baskets for used batteries. Yes, so thank you very much. I suppose we'll follow the trend more actively. Well, so and now, thank you. Another time, we have got the last speaker, but not the least, as you understand. So it's Svetlana Mikhailova, right? And she will tell us about a very important event, which is held annually nowadays. So the Earth Hour. Svetlana, you're welcome.
Yes, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good afternoon. I'm a second year student of the Faculty of Foreign Trade Management at the Russian Foreign Trade Academy. And it's an honor to participate in such an amazing event today and speak on a burning issue of protecting our planet. I hope everybody realizes that we should do our best to protect the Earth and help countries to transfer to the green economy. Here are measures we can and must do every day. But today I would like to comment on the last item on this list, and that is saving electricity. There are a variety of ways of conserving electricity, but I would also like to tell you about one very important and powerful event, which allows to do all these things in one go, at least for 1 hour. But the effect is enormous. And I mean Earth Hour. It is a worldwide movement organized by Worldwide Fund for Nature. It is held annually, encouraging communities, individuals, businesses to turn off non-essential electric lights for 1 hour on a specific day, usually at the end of March, as a symbol of commitment to the planet. It was started as a lights off event in Sydney. Since then, more than 7,000 cities and towns across 187 countries have started participating to raise awareness of the necessity to reduce energy consumption and its effects on the environment. Earth Hour goes far beyond the symbolic action of switching off the lights. It has become a catalyst for positive environmental impact, driving major legislative changes by harnessing the power of the people and collective actions. And to help you to realize the importance of this movement, I will provide you with the results of the study, which was done in 2014. Energy Research and Social Science Journal complied measurements of observed changes in electricity demand due to the Earth Hour in 10 countries for 6 years and found out that this event reduced electricity consumption by 6% on average. And I think it is a brilliant result. As I said above, Earth Hour is a worldwide movement, and we welcome everybody to take part and help to amplify their mission to unite people to protect our planet. Earth Hour 2021 will be held on the 27th of March from 8:30 to 9:30 your local time.
And I think it is a great opportunity for all of us to take part in this amazing event. Now I would like to show you the video from of our 2020.
For more than 10 years, Earth Hour with its signature Lights Out events around the world has come to symbolize our common resolve to conserve and protect our planet. This year, as we face an unprecedented global health crisis, Earth Hour has urged everyone to observe the hour in the safety of home and to connect with each other digitally, from YouTube live streams to online petitions to social media challenges.
This is the time for solidarity, and Earth Hour gives us that glimmer of hope that when we all unite, we can overcome the most difficult challenges.
We can't physically be together shoulder to shoulder, but we are together screen to screen.
There is no planet B, and this is our chance to save what we have. We need to change, and we need to find new ways.
Change begins with us. If we can all make small steps in our daily lives, it all adds up to make a big difference.
I hope everybody is motivated now to contribute more, keeping our environment safe. And I would like to point out that we must do such things not once a year, but every day. And always think about our planet and do our best to save it. Thank you for your attention, and I am ready for your questions.
Svetlana, thank you. Well, so very emotional video, and I think that everybody is really motivated to start thinking more than and do more than we are doing now. Well, so that is a movement, right? And we know a lot about this international movement. Can you give us any other examples of the influence? Well, have they reached anything else?
Yes, of course. For example, they created the world's first forest of our forest. They launched education programs in
Probably Earth Hour started in Svetlana's home.
I'm with you now. Yeah, so can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you, but we don't see Mikhailova Svetlana.
We lose her.
Or maybe
well,
it's...
anyway, she has finished, right? Yeah, so she's with us again?
Yes, for example, about their changes, they launched education programs in Thailand and Taiwan. More than 250,000 Russians voiced support for better protection of their country's seas and forests. And I think this
Okay, that's right. Nowadays, it seems to me the internet should be more sustainable. So to help to work more efficiently. Okay. So it seems to me that Sveta disappeared again. Am I right?
can you please again?
So Sveta joined us. All right.
Said.
Yeah. So, well, just due to these very problems of the internet and connection, and I think that we have covered all possible topics we are planning to do today, right? So that is just the right time to wrap everything up. I would like to thank everybody, all the participants, and first of all, the speakers who developed very interesting and very up-to-date topics. We all realized another time the importance of save our planet and to keep it not only for us, but for the generations, which will definitely come to the earth. Well, and if there are any questions, if there are any comments, you're welcome, but I suppose we have covered almost everything for today. Irene?
on behalf of Ernest, I would say that it was a really interesting experience, and we hope to continue our collaboration in the future with some other joint initiatives.
Yes. So
Yes,
this
thank you
experience.
very much for everybody. Yes, Fabio has.
Just to say thank you very much for everybody for this exchange opportunity. Yeah? As Brazilian, for me, is a new landscape to know more about the sustainability in the other different geographies. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it. So,
yeah, I think we have here with us also students from different universities, and probably in the future we will make something more large, with other universities. It will be really interesting.
So that was great experience for us and for me personally. Thank you. So Arini, we can.
Thank you very much for participation, and I guess.
Let me thank all of you on behalf of the Mugimo University as well. And yeah, I thought it was a brilliant event, even because it gathered many participants from all over the world. So we spread the word even to people from other projects. So actually it was really an interesting and enriching comparison.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I wish you good evening, right?
Good
and
evening.
Good weekend. Yeah, so
Good weekend.
enjoy your lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Happy holidays.